Myself is Divya Bahal, Assistant Professor in Chemical Engineering Department at LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. The subject that I am going to take is Mass Transfer Operations 2. Now, in last lecture, we have an overview about mass transfer operation. Basically, we discussed about chemical potential. We cleared our definition of equilibrium. So, we defined equilibrium as a state when chemical potential of a species at given temperature and pressure is same in both the phases. So, that was the definition of equilibrium we discussed. Then we discussed about driving force. Driving force can be said as a force that is required for a component to move from one place to another. We discussed that in last lecture. Now starting forward, what is distillation? The first of question that must arise in mind. As the first chapter which we are going to start is distillation, let's have an introduction about distillation. So what is distillation? In this chapter, what are the outline that you will study? Introduction, then vapor liquid equilibrium. See, in vapor liquid equilibrium, you will study that how your liquid phase composition and vapor phase composition changes. Then the boiling point diagrams. The boiling point diagrams include temperature versus X and Y plot and pressure versus X and Y plot. Okay, where X and Y are the composition of a component in liquid and gaseous phase. Then deviations from ideality. Here you will study negative deviation and positive deviation. That would be discussed in different lectures, but this is just an outline. Then the types of distillation. What are the types of distillation? Like extractive distillation, azeotropic distillation, then your normal distillation. Then what is relative volatility? Azeotropes, calculation of number of theoretical trace, reflux conditions, open steam, partial condenser, circulating reflux, etc. These are the outline of your chapter. Now what is distillation? Distillation is separation of liquid mixture into its individual components through applying heat which gets separated because of difference in volatility. So what we are doing here is we just apply heat to the solution or a mixture, we can say. Now on the basis of difference in volatility, the components get separated from each other. So from here you can sense that driving force is difference in volatility. Yes, see, driving force is volatility. Now what is the volatility? Volatility means how easily your substance will vaporize. It is applicable for liquid, obvious. Don't confuse this with relative volatility. In relative volatility, it is relative to another component. Suppose A and B are present over here. So if I am defining relative volatility of A with respect to B, that is, then there is a comparison between these two substances. Next. Okay, then another question is, what is evaporation? See, evaporation, distillation, absorption, these are the separation processes. So don't get confused between them. Now, but the basic of evaporation applies to distillation also. How? What is evaporation now? Evaporation is concerned with concentration of solution by vaporizing the volatile solvent from mixture of volatile solvent and non-volatile solute. Here the solution is my volatile solvent and a non-volatile solute. Suppose taking an example of solution of salt water. Water is my volatile solvent, but salt is non-volatile solute. So in evaporation what we do, heat is supplied to the solution, and because of heat, the volatile material, it vaporizes. So the concentration of solute increases. Thus evaporation is solely involved in increasing the concentration. Whereas in distillation, it is concerned with separation of all volatile components from a mixture. You can see the difference over here. Okay. Now, what is the difference between evaporation and vaporization? See, vaporization is the mechanism that applies over evaporation. Evaporation is solely concerned with increasing concentration, not separating the two different entities. Whereas distillation The same methodology, vaporization, evaporation, mechanism of vaporization is applied, but here we separate the two entities into different forms. Next, moving on. Now, how distillation is different? In distillation, you can say it is a direct separation method because no other external agent is added. You just add heat to it. Okay. Whereas in other separation process, external agent is added. Now, which other separation processes? Let's see. Suppose here we have in extraction another solvent is added. Because of another solvent is added, a heterogeneous phase is formed. See, here different phases means not only liquid and gas. Okay, another heterogeneous liquid phases are also another phase. Okay, so in extraction, we add another solvent to create another phase. In another phase, that is another solvent that I add, A is soluble in that solvent. So because of that, the mass transfer will take place. Similarly, in absorption, well, in absorption, you are directly contacting gas and liquid together. And whereas in leaching, solid is introduced. Leaching is nothing but in extraction, liquid is there, whereas in leaching, solid and liquid are there. Both are the form of extraction. So you can see how distillation is different. In distillation, we add heat, and because of addition of heat, different phases are created. Okay, vapor is created because we add heat, whereas in other separation process, we saw externally another phase is created. Now, what is the mechanism in mass transfer? What is the mechanism of mass transfer in distillation? See, like absorption and stripping. That is example of A diffusing through non-diffusing B. It is an example of unimolecular diffusion, where only one entity is moving, whereas another entity is stagnant. But that is not the case in distillation. Distillation is example of equimolecular counter diffusion. That is, both the entities will move towards each other. You can see from here, the A is moving into non-diffusing B, where B is simply just gas. B is not diffusing. Only A is moving towards B. So this is the case which happens in absorption and stripping. Okay. Now, how equimolar counter diffusion takes place in distillation? How can you justify it? See, a tray example is given over here. Okay. Equimolar counter diffusion occurs in each stage of the tower. Each plate in each plate, equimolar counter diffusion occurs. You can see how Na lambda A is equal to Nb lambda B. This is for one plate I am telling. Okay, it means evaporation equal to condensation. Now how? Suppose this is an ideal stage. Okay. Now here I am assuming that my A is more volatile than B. Here it is not represented, but what happens in the distillation column is that your vapors, which are rich in the more volatile component, are condensed and is converted into liquid form. Now this part of liquid form is again transferred. What we did here is we tried to make as much as contact possible between the two phases. The liquid and vapor phase are in contact with each other. So what happens is that energy transfer takes place here. The energy which is required by A, okay, A is my more volatile component, which will always go into vapor phase. So the energy which is required for evaporation is supplied by B, which is less volatile component, and will come out into the residue part, that is in the bottom part of the distillation column. So this way energy transfer takes place. Again, once more, we can see from here in this ideal plate, my A being the more volatile component is in the vapor phase, which from the top of the distillation column is condensed and converted into liquid form. That is called as distillate. B component is my less volatile component. Okay, it always comes into the bottom part of the distillation column because it is heavy. It has very high boiling point. Okay, so here to increase the purity that you would study later on, to increase the purity, a condition called reflux is added. What happens in reflux is a part of your liquid distillate is again transformed into the distillation column from top. So A is my more volatile. It is in liquid form. And so what we are doing is we are trying to make more contact between A and B. So because of that, now the energy which is needed for evaporation of A, that is supplied by B, which is very high boiling. So the B has to get condensed and it has to come into the bottom part. So B will supply its latent heat of condensation and A will take that latent heat of as a vaporization. And so A will finally get more vaporized and B will get condensed to get liquid. So this way purity is maintained. This would be explained detailed when you will study reflux. This is just an overview that how equimolar counter diffusion occurs. Next, talking about what are the advantages of distillation tower. Next, talking about what are the advantages of distillation over other methods. First is ability to separate mixture with wide range of throughputs. The throughputs means diameter. Okay, what is the capacity? So using this method, we can separate mixture in any quantity, whether it's a small quantity or large quantity or any capacity tower, we can use this method. Next is ability to separate mixture with wide range of concentration. Now, wide range of concentration is talking about. It means you can separate your mixture for any concentration. If you want to separate the mixture up to 50% concentration, then also you can use, or if you want to concentrate up to 99% of your mixture, then also you can use. Okay, so the feed can be my up to from 10% I am concentrating up to 50%, or another cases from 10% I am concentrating it to 80%. So this way it has the ability to separate mixture with that range of concentrations. Okay. Now, ability to produce high purity products. From all the separation methods, distillation gives you high purity products. It can distill up to 98%. Okay. So this way, this method is so advantageous. Now, when is not distillation? Not every time we can use distillation method to carry out the separation. Some of the times this method is not feasible, and those are separation of very close boiling liquids. Suppose that I have a mixture where the boiling point difference between two components is like only 10 degrees Celsius. So in that case, I won't get a high purity result. It is possible that because of mixing, because these two components have very close boiling points. Okay, so in vapor phase also another component can be present. Okay. Then is separation of liquids of poor relative volatility. This would be covered in different lecture when why relative volatility is added, when relative volatility comes into picture. See, relative volatility is expressing of volatility of a high volatile component with respect to less volatile and vice versa. So when poor relative volatility is there, means both are almost volatile. There is not major difference between those volatility of those two components. At that time, the separation of liquid is not possible because the driving force is itself is volatility. So if volatility difference is not much, so then this separation method is not feasible. Then when it is not again feasible, when separation of mixtures that forms azeotrope. Azeotropes we will cover later on. So, and another one, separation of heat sensitive materials which degrade at higher temperatures. Your distillation process is carried out at 1 atmosphere pressure. Okay, for heat sensitive material, that is there when the chemical constitution changes, when they are subjected to high temperature, such materials are called as heat sensitive material. So we cannot supply too much heat to such materials because they will degrade, and we don't want the degraded product. Then that's the no meaning if the whole constitution of product changes. Then separation of condensable and non-condensable compounds. See, non-condensable compounds like air. Now why we cannot take that into account? Because non-condensable components adheres, that is stick to the wall, thus lowering the mass transfer coefficient. Hence, for such entities, distillation is not feasible. Now, what are the limitations of distillation? And kind of disadvantages. Only one. It is very highly energy intensive operation. Almost you can say that in a chemical plant 50% of the energy is consumed by distillation itself. So we have to be very selective when we have to use distillation operation, because it is very energy sensitive, and if we are dealing with very dilute solution, then it is no meaning. Now, what are the industrial examples of distillation? Separation of ethanol and water mixture, production of absolute alcohol from 95% ethanol using benzene. So here you might be thinking that we are adding another component, benzene, whereas we discussed that no external agent is used. But this is the example of extractive distillation. This would be covered in next lectures, in another lectures. Now this is the most simplest example, separation of crude into gasoline, kerosene and fuel oils. Distillation is the prime separation method which is used in petroleum refining industry. So this was all for today's lecture. Thank you.